Hey everyone, welcome back to Torment, Tides of Numenera. We are in the bloom after having watched the Sorrow destroy Mealvest. So, this doesn't look very friendly at all. We talked to this Dracogen guy who asked us to go and retrieve an artifact for him. Got some refugees, got some shadow people beating on somebody, and looks like we got some slaves and some exiles. So, yeah, overall not a nice place. Let's take a quick
on my way.
Look around and see what there is to see first. This looks like some sort of building or crash ship. It's hard to tell.
Yes, now.
Yeah, and they mentioned, here, take the money, just leave me alone. Okay.
Something to do.
Fine, let's go talk to this guy. Kian, a woman, barefoot and in rags, stands defensively beside her tent. Despite her obvious poverty, she crosses her arms and holds her chin high. And what do you want? Who are those people? They're called Delny and Vrong. They've been squeezing money out of me for months. Protection, they call it, though obviously they mean from them. I wish I could do more than simply cave to their demands, but as you can see, I'm not exactly equipped to defend myself. It's all I can do to survive. Maybe I can help. Where did they go? They crawl out of a hole somewhere deeper in the bloom. Little Nihilish, I think it's called. I'm not the sort to wish violence on anybody, but even people like them, but I hope something happens to them. Who are you? My name is Kian, the bloom's most pitiable storyteller and self-styled innkeeper. Though I admit the inn is too fine a word for my little tent, still I can provide a meal, a bedroll, and at least a modicum of entertainment in the form of tales from my homeland. Before I came here I was a noblewoman, believe it or not, a courtier from Sturthal. It feels like a previous life. I wonder if I'll ever find my way back. I suspect not. How did you get here? You've seen the Katina, I assume. She gestures broadly at the massive broken vehicle behind her. It's a kind of magical carriage, capable of traveling great distances by skipping over the space in between. Governor Marazek's priests determined that it came through Sturthal on a very precise schedule. It would appear at one of a few locations near Sturthal every 73 hours. Well, among the nobles, became sort of an adventure. We would dare one another to board the Katina or even hold parties at a location where it was scheduled to appear. It was exciting. I knew people who went on such journeys and came back with most wonderful tales. They'd spend a couple of days meeting strange, fascinating people and visiting wild locales. Some, I'm fairly certain, were not even in the Ninth World. I had to see for myself. So about a year ago, my friends and I threw a Katina gala in anticipation of its arrival. We packed and dressed for adventure, and when the carriage arrived, we boarded immediately. Sadly, that was the Katina's final journey. It crashed here, tunneling through part of the bloom. Most of the passengers were killed in the crash, and the rest in the months since. I am all that's left of that voyage. And you're a very strong person to have survived for so long. I never considered myself strong. If I was truly strong, I might have kept the others alive too, but thank you. Where's Sturthal? Hundreds of kilometers from here, from what I learned. As I understand it, the bloom is located in what we the Sturthal call the Beyond, or actually Beyond the Beyond, as I never heard the Sage's Protectorate or any of the places people talk about here. Sturthal is one of the largest cities in the Steadfast. It perches on the edge of an enormous rift in the ground called Voile Chasm. Some streets and buildings even protrude from the cliffsides, not unlike your Sage's Cliffs as I understand it. It's a cultural jewel in an otherwise war-torn nation. You notice immediately that her rags are actually made of high-quality fabric. It appears they were once a fine green dress or gown, though it is now filthy and torn. She catches you looking and straightens her posture, seeming almost regal for a moment. Well, it's nice to know that there's a safe-ish place to sleep.
I'll handle it.
Okay, so we have some stuff here. Dracogen. Okay.
I'm there, in the shadows.
Got a bloom dweller. Memoviras, Bloom Dwellers,
All right.
Big Door. This must be the Memoviras, maybe to the Memoviras palace. Bloom Dwellers.
Find them. Something to do.
What is this? Waits for prey. Nice.
Why, of course.
Okay, got an Explorer. An Ineen. I have no idea what that is. Got some sort of... I don't even know.
It's a
Sciati,
plan.
Bloom Cultist. And who are these people? Maybe these are slave purchasers and slave traders? Okay, so Sciati, Crash Katina, Vast Interior, Memovir's Fortress, Slave Auction, Dracogen. Okay, so let's start meeting folks. Let's see, first of all,
Done right.
what are you guys? Okay, hey. Oh,
Consider it done.
won't let me just talk to him, huh? Okay, what's with the Bloom Dwellers? Is
Maddie,
that just people that
About
live here?
your skin.
Eratus, watch where your next words tread carefully.
What? Where do they go now? They're always getting away from me.
Yeah, they're hilarious. Oh, that reminds me. I actually should talk to
Fear more
Eratus.
danger? So be it.
I wanted to
Yes.
talk to him. How do I do that? Wants to
Fear
talk.
more danger? So be it.
Done.
Okay, this is awful. I've actually forgotten how to talk to my... Okay, click on him. There we go.
Oh? Oh, it's you. Can I ask you something?
If you didn't know better, you'd think he looked thoughtful. He rubs the side of his face, then the corners of his sleep-bruised eyes. I've been pondering some things for over an hour about what happened back there in Mila Vest. All those people with stories so like your own, and now so many of them have just stopped, and I barely knew them at all. How? He pauses, toying with his own doublet and staring at the sky. His glow pulses, growing brighter and brighter until it's hard to look at him directly. How are they supposed to be part of my story if they're dead? Talk about them like they didn't exist before you came along. They were important too. Oh, I know. I didn't think they appeared the moment I arrived. It must have been hard for them, you know, waiting for me to get there and knowing that things would be so boring until I did. We weren't talking about me. We were talking about your family. Their stories are over now, aren't they? I mean, unless they come back at some dramatic moment, more powerful than they were before. I love doing that. But assuming that doesn't happen, what does that mean? Their stories matter to them, I think, but what do they matter now? Golden light of his aura and his casual words can't hide the glimmering beads of sweat rolling down his cheeks. I like to think that they live on in our memories, if nowhere else. The stories of theirs that we know are part of something larger now. Yes, he says wistfully, a larger story. I've always lived life to the next adventure, but now I'm wondering where it will end. What will it be like? What will happen after? Wow, Eratus being thoughtful.
Why, of course.
Here. Now.
Let's talk to this guy. Slaver. Ugh. Fat little man turns towards you, a wide smile already on his face. Indeed, his smile is unnaturally wide, reaching almost to his ears. You notice that his mouth contains 2 rows of white, manicured teeth. You catch me in the midst of an auction, sir, but no need to beg pardon. My clients will wait. I find that a short delay in the proceedings gets them talking amongst themselves and sparks their competitive natures, good for prices. Parson Flint is the name, and disbursement of so-called slaves and so-called owners. or two so-called owners for the betterment of both parties is my trade. What sort of slave are you looking for? Why would I want a slave? To feed maws, of course. Unless you're planning to let them feed on you, but I wouldn't advise that. Oh, that's even worse than I thought. Naturally, it helps to know what a maw wants before you go buying a slave. Not much point in buying a slave who isn't appetizing to the maw in question. You'd be surprised how many people make that mistake. So, shall we conduct some business? Maybe you better explain how slavery works around here. Certainly, these slaves are convicts of the foulest sort. They are the very dregs of Sage's Cliffs and the surrounding communities. In order to pay their debt to society, many chose bloom slavery instead of a prison or execution. These individuals are given to me, and I sell them to enterprising merchants who apply the bloom. Usually my clients come with me with specific requirements. Every maw has its own unique taste, you see, and it won't open unless it gets precisely what it wants. So I offer an appropriate slave, and they feed that slave to the maw, and everyone is happy. Slaves volunteer to be eaten. They're desperate people, and being fed to the bloom is not a death sentence. Well, not always. Sometimes the bloom only devours certain aspects of a person, and they're entirely changed for the better. Or it takes a small trivial part of them, an eye, or half a stomach, or their ability to feel love, and spits them out into another world where they can start their lives anew. Once a maw feeds on a slave, that slave is free. That's the law, mind you, unless the murds get a hold of you. They don't give a bird's turd about such things. So they're all criminals? Of varying sorts, yes. The more vicious the better, as far as my citizens or my clients are concerned. The bloom has a taste for the criminal element. Dangerous, predatory sorts of people will draw its attention, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. What's a maw anyway? Maws are pockets in the bloom, my friend. Sometimes they lead to other worlds or to hidden pockets elsewhere in the bloom. One never knows, but that's part of the fun. How do you know what a maw wants? Ah, but that is the question. Sometimes you can puzzle it out on your own by watching the maw, observing the behavior of its tongues, a disgusting business altogether. Better to ask someone who's been here a long time. They're barking mad, most of them, but they have an uncanny sense of the bloom's desires. Some of them claim to hear the voice of the bloom in their minds. Hearing the voice of the bloom, that's when you know you're in trouble. Dracogen told me that some of the maws have been closing. Yes, they are. Closing, disappearing, changing destinations, and behaving badly all around. That sort of thing is better to say in a low voice, preferably away from Memovera's lugs, or they might get the idea that you're blaming her for the problem. And she is supposed to have some sort of influence, have this giant sack of angry flesh, so who knows, maybe it is her fault, but I would never say such a thing. Yeah. Well, that's disturbing enough. Let's see, bloom dwellers. Okay, you're probably not going to let me in, but gotta try. This woman's face is lined with worry, though her thick build suggests that she could snap a spear in two without much an effort. She continually glances towards the tunnel leading out of the courtyard as though she hopes to see somebody. She runs a hand through her short graying hair and mutters, "Gods." Finally, she takes notice of you. Wrinkles on her face harden immediately. What are you looking at? Nobody gets in the fortress without permission. I can already tell you don't have it, so keep walking. I look worried about something. What's wrong? It's that obvious? You'd be worried too if you had 2 patrols go missing and you were stuck on guard duty.
Making a note.
Listen, if you happen to see my missing soldiers, I'd appreciate whatever news you could give me. They'll be outfitted like me. I'd go looking for them myself, but where can I start looking? Both of the patrols were tasked with collecting duties from the gangs. They're probably somewhere in the vast interior or one of the slums, but I haven't heard from them in some time. Given the nature of the bloom, they could be literally anywhere. If I find your people, you let me inside? I don't decide who gets in, I just keep everyone else out. But if you find my men, I'll give you something for your trouble. I kind of expected that.
Do it.
Let's see, Bloom Dweller. Bloom Dweller.
I'm ready.
Something back here. Examine. Grid Shanties, Bloom Dweller, Bloom Dweller. Primavera Thug. Got some explorers down here. Bloom Cultist. Oh, there was actually a named person in this group of slave purchasers. Wait, not that guy. This guy. Creature floats before you, hidden inside its voluminous cloak, unmoving and unmoved by your presence. It observes the slave market with a scholar's avid disinterest. Exactly who or what the thing is, man or machine, mutant or monster, is possible to discern. Its glass face reveals nothing but your reflection. Its mechanical voice reveals nothing at all. You recall that this creature is known as a Philethus, but you don't know anything else about him. Why did the child wail? Perhaps I was frightened. After a moment, it seems to nod slightly, as if inviting you to pose questions of your own. I'm looking for someone, a fellow cast off of the changing god. You yourself must find. Do you know anything about the bloom? A socket, a doorknob, a crumbling cliff. These are not your face. Each that is itself. The mirror does not look back. The bloom cannot teach, but it leaves scraps one gathers. Is there something I can help you with? Question hangs before the silent Philethus, gives you no answer, not even one of the varied sounds of its contemplation. Eventually it becomes clear nothing will come. Oh, what are you trying to find? The question. What are you? A mudlark on the bank of a river of time. Okay. That is the way it is. Okay. That was interesting. Let's, waits for prey. Hopefully I'm not prey. Metal construct stands before you, silent and still. Its armor is pitted and ancient, spiked with metal thorns. Instead of arms, construct has long killing blades, sharpened to a gleaming edge. Makina says, what are you doing? I wouldn't talk to this monster. I've seen it kill some powerful people, and powerful not people, too. Who are you? Construct stirs, and a voice emanates from somewhere in its depths. It has a hollow, empty sound, as if it speaks from a vast cavern underground. I am a soldier, a predator. My names are as numerous as the wars in which I have fought. But those wars are finished now, and I have left my names behind. What are you doing here? Waiting. For those who are strong and feared, for the predators who walk the bloom. They come here at times to challenge me. If I prove myself to be predator above all others, I believe that the bloom tongues will catch my scent. I wish to be devoured by the bloom. Have you not seen those who have passed through the gullet of the bloom? Every trace of who they were has been stripped from them. They are freed from the trappings of memory and self, reborn. Why do you crave rebirth? How many years have you lived? Only a few, judging by the firmness of your flesh. In that time, what horrors have you witnessed or perpetrated? Do they slip into your mind in unguarded moments? Perhaps they do. Whatever horrors you've seen, multiply them by 1,000, 100,000, across a vast, grinding millennium of wars. Now imagine that you cannot forget, cannot even distract yourself with other memories. Do you know what I remember? Only those things that would make me a better killer. Every severed limb, every gout of heart's blood, every cruel execution before a cheering crowd. All else is lost, and that is how my creators fashioned my brain. That is why I crave rebirth and forgetfulness. Huh. I haven't met any... Okay.
All right.
So I suppose we could... I don't know. I don't feel all that capable at combat, so probably not something that's been killing things for thousands of years. So, yeah, let's not do that.
All right.
What is this? Pool is filled with yellowish water that falls from above. The surrounding bloom flesh is wet and with hand and footprints, suggesting this is a common place for bloom dwellers to wash and drink. Look into the pool. Pool extends downward like the circular shaft of a well. If it has a bottom, you can't see it from here. In the depths of the pool, your sharp eyes catch the sight of a long worm-like shape. It appears to be caught on a projection of bloom flesh and is wriggling helplessly about. we could might and dive into the pool to retrieve the wriggling object. Let's do it. Let's let one of our more mighty members do it. Oh, seriously? Okay, this is not easy. Wow, I think I actually have the best chance. 45? 45? 45? Let's try. See, I healed one. I failed. Plunge in the murky fluid. As you dive deeper, you see that the shaft opens into a much larger cavity. At the edge of a larger space, you reach the wriggling shape you saw from above. You struggle to entangle the object from the bony knot of bloom flesh, but you just can't work it free, and you're forced to return to the surface before you run out of air. Oh well. Let's drink some of the fluid. Take a sip of the yellowish water. It has a greasy texture and a slightly sour taste, but it quenches your thirst. You take another sip, and you start to hear whispers. They're faint at first, but they grow louder, resolving into the chittering voices of the bloom. They buzz in your ears. Even as your senses dull, the bloom's voices seem clearer than before. Allegern gains the bloom-juiced fettle until the next time the party sleeps. Last Castoff gains it as well. Let's leave that alone now. What is that? Eerie whispers fill your mind, hinting at countless secrets to uncover. Okay. Let's talk to this person. A pale, heavy-set merchant woman stands by an agitated Anine. Her eyes seem to have trouble focusing on you, and when they do, she drops them, her hands nervously adjusting the scarf around her neck. I am Skiati. I'm Skady. How, you here to trade? Yeah, let's see what you have to sell. I don't have much at all. But I could sell you this. Keep that. Keep that. Wow, I have next to nothing left. What do you have? Spray flesh. Yeah. And needler, which is pretty good. It's expensive as heck though. Heavy crossbow. Shield. What's this? Sting charge. Clockwork strut. That's interesting. Nothing really great though. Why are you wearing that heavy scarf? That's none of your business. Leave it be or just leave. Yeah, I don't... Can you tell me about the bloom? The bloom? No, what's to tell? Why would I go and start pulling it? Yeah, I'm not gonna go, like, start messing with her clothes. That seems really rude.
Look out below! Above! Sideways!
Okay, let's see. So here's a ship.
Something to do!
Got some refugees. Just refugees. Got a ship. What's this down here?
Of course.
The panel has fallen away from the side of the crashed cantina, exposing a compartment that's filled with machinery. Waves of energy radiate from it, like a heat haze. Examine it. Most of the machinery in the compartment is smashed and unrecognizable, hanging by wires and strips of torn synth. The open spaces between the machines, tiny vortices of light and energy occasionally spring into being, obliterate everything they happen to touch, and then vanish again. Allegern touches your arm and says, "Don't touch anything." Look, you see those vortices? They're still spawning. We might be able to salvage the power source. He peers more closely. Not from here, though. Maybe at the back end of the cantina, if we could find it. As your eyes become more accustomed to the weird, blurry haze, you notice a synth canister near the back of the compartment. It appears to be intact. If you stretch your arm, you might be able to reach it, but if a vortex opens at the wrong time, you could be seriously hurt. Let's grab it. 75% is not bad, but Makina, she's not really any faster. And these guys, they're not any faster either. Yeah, let's do it. Pew! Because I'm super fast. You reach in the compartment, fingers scrabbling at the smooth synth of the canister, trying to work it loose. A tiny vortex flares to life near your arm, but you snatch it away. The vortex misses you by a few centimeters. With a final twist, you pull the canister free. Get some hyper coolant spray. It's like a stun grenade. And we got 2 XP. I will definitely take that. Yep. Okay.
Sure.
I'm gonna need to sleep before we go too far. Which is gonna be a problem because I don't have any money. Let's see, we've talked to everybody here, I think. Well, let's head on to the next area, the vast interior. Although, wait. Alcairn said something about we could... If we could get to the rear of the ship, we might be able to get to power source. I don't see any way in. Maybe we can get in from another area. Okay. Let's let us head
Go.
to the next area. Yeah, this bloom's an interesting place. I like how as you walk it's like squish, squish, squish. That's a little disturbing. Yeah, unlike every other place we've been in this world. Okay. The corpse of an insect of gigantic proportions lies here. On closer inspection, you see that it appears to be in the midst of getting absorbed into the wall.
You want it done right.
Street sign. To Little Nihalesh. To the trade post. This is where I think the missing soldiers went. Caravan guards. Or we can go to the trade post. We don't really have anything to trade.
Alright.
So let's not go there first. I'm running out of points here, but I still have intellect, which is what I would use in a fight. So, plume cultists, ink pot.
It's a plan.
Okay, what is this? Walls of this dwelling are covered in papers with various threats and slurs written on them. Huh.
Let's
That's
go.
not nice. Let's see. There's a person here. Ink pot. This man is tall and gawkily thin. His wiry hair looks like an explosion of metal springs atop his head. He regards you with bright, feverish eyes that seem too large for their sockets and smiles. Even as he motions you closer, this man is scribbling words on a piece of paper. He has fastened some sort of harness around his body. It holds a tiny writing tablet and inkwells so he can continue to write as he moves about. Dozens of scrawl-covered notes are stuck to his leathery robes. I've heard rumors of one fitting your description, one who helps those in need. Help us, brother, he intones in a wet and breathy voice. We are extremities of the great devourer, and we beseech your aid to right a great wrong. What? Bloom cultist, the fancy name doesn't make them any less crazy. You walk in the company of a heretic, I see, but heresy has its root in fear, fear that chokes the ears and drowns out the voices of the great devourer. We do not hate the heretic, we pity her. We are those who venerate the bloom as divine, and seek to become a part of it if it will have us. We are the only ones that can see that a great wrong has been done here. What sort of wrong? Terrible torment visited upon the bloom, our god. It is the work of Ioxu, a measurer meddler, who dwells in that nodule of flesh. Ioxu desires to understand the bloom, to quantify its impulses. This causes pain to our god. The evidence is clear for all to see, in the raw and swollen flesh of Ioxu's house. We have warned him to stop his pokings and proddings and measurings, but he will not listen. What methods are left to us? Perhaps you can help him change his mind. Try to work out some kind of compromise. Try if you like, but blasphemers are loath to compromise. They are steeped in sin.
Making a note.
Scriptures of the great devourer to inspire your thoughts and guide your words. From the pen of Inkpot, who is me. Okay. What are the papers? Scriptures of the great devourer, they are ever-changing, an imitation of the bloom. You see? Those words are gone, forgotten, but new ones can be added as we like. Now these words are part of the canon. Is it safe to drink the water from that pool? Better than safe. Those fluids are the holy secretions of the great devourer. To drink them is to put your mind in communion with the bloom. You can listen to its voice and know what it wants, at least for a time. Yeah, this sounds like that water that I drank before. Probably not that good. I can't click on it though. Look into the pool. Let's look. Nothing in it. Collect some of the fluid. Flask of bloom water. Okay, step away. Let's take a quick.
And it's done.
Let's take a quick look around before we start going into people's houses. Okay, so we got some folks here. Walks without fear.
Got it.
Wait, no, let's go up here. That goes to little Nihilish. Walks without fear.
Here we go then.
Oh, that's like a lady's statue of a lady's head or something. Okay. There's some sort of egg thingy. A shop.
Yes.
Looks like some sort of dye. I hope that's dye. Probably making horrible misassumptions. Slave block, Kyurgen slump.
Something to do.
Looks like we've got a little merchant place here.
All right.
Okay, so we got the lay of the land now. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk to this guy. If he's trying to understand the bloom, I'm probably more inclined to be helpful to him than to this crazy guy outside, but let's see. Oh wow, look at this. Well, this is pretty awesome.
Ready.
Papers lie scattered haphazardly across this desk. Small knowledge cubes gleam. Finger-sized implements cast processions of glowing glyphs, and other media lie scattered throughout the mess. Examine the notes. Careful, much time has been invested in this work, and I recall where I placed each bit of data, or place where you found each. As you shuffle through the Vargellan's notes, on paper scribbled in dried bloom flesh, dictated into talking data cubes, and recorded in more exotic storage devices, you realize the sheer volume of information he has collected. It is a trove of arcane and technical observations on the bloom, loosely organized into a number of categories: behavior, communication, influences, influenced by, maws, how to open, how to close, how to divert, history, observations, conclusions. Every data point leads to a reference in another document. Some of these links are simply notes, guessing where the data is located, based on the Vargellan's recollection. If you knew where to start analyzing his enormous collection of knowledge, you might be able to get somewhere, but the volume of information is simply staggering. A team of Aeon priests couldn't process this much data in a year. For a lone scholar, it would likely take 10 years or more. Vargellan has stopped glancing over at you as you shuffle through his notes. Instead, he is staring at you, waiting and watching. It becomes difficult to concentrate under that steady gaze, so you put the notes down and step away from the table. Yeah, that was kind of rude. Vargellan looks much like others of his kind: violet, red skin, yellow eyes, and a tail crest atop his head. This one appears to have chosen a male form for now. He wears thin lenses over his eyes, and some strange devices encircle his head, with weighted attachments dangling at the end of long straps. His calloused, pointed fingertips are stained, and his garments are unkempt and in disarray. He looks impatiently at you as you interrupt his work, his eyes snapping between you and the door. His crest inflates with irritation. The interruptions continue. What would you have of Ioxu? The Bloom cultist outside wants you to stop your experiments. This surprises me not at all. The Bloom resists measurement data and the truth of itself, yet it devours and destroys its movements unknown and uncertain. Further, much trade comes through these portals and other potentially dangerous entities. Why then should we not seek to discover its ways? This work, it's important, cannot be derailed by some pathetic believers. I would reward anyone who could drive them off. He glances behind you for the first time and recoils visibly on seeing Makina. Can it be? Stories have circulated. They said you were dead, that the Memavira had found you at last. She smiles grimly. Not yet. I'm surprised to see you're still alive, Ioxu. I wouldn't have wagered on it. The White Death honors me. Stories of your prowess continue. In the meantime, I abide, gathering and learning, even in the face of the protesters outside. But knowledge has always had its detractors. They will do what they must. As long as my work lives on, I care not. What would you have of me? What work do you do here? Look, smell, taste, measure, understand. Apprehension is the key to knowledge. The Bloom is a creature unlike any other, yet who has taken the time to study its nature? The first is Ioxu. The work done here will illuminate the Bloom for all those who follow. For decades have I been here. Physical structure, biological needs, behavior, mental construction, known history of the beast, history of its inhabitants. All these things I have gathered. Where does it originate? I believe a twin star holds the answer. A place of howling winds and immense gravity. The fear tells me that the creature is not yet mature, that the years will see its size increase. Reality bends around the Bloom. Its ways twist and turn, but even where stability is assumed, the Bloom's presence resists understanding. It resists mapping. This is the importance of my work, to make secrets known so that all may benefit. Wow. What's that device? The Bloom detests those who seek to understand it on a rational level. For some time now it has sought my destruction, to erase all accomplished here. The device generates a multi-spectrum field that repels the Bloom's advances. But this means only that it waits for me without. Had other devices not been available to create food and drink, I should have perished here. Interesting. What about the construct? Many years ago it came to my door. It vowed service to me if its memories and personality could be erased. I did not ask why, just as I would hope to have my own reasons respected. It now serves to protect me against those who would do me harm, most specifically the Mertens and the cultists. Huh. What do you think would make the Bloom cultists leave you alone? Defeating them with reasoned arguments would be difficult. I present no danger to them, not like you. A threat of force might persuade them, but I believe they tell the truth about enjoying the Bloom's favor. To oppose them is to draw its ire. Do you have anything you'd be willing to sell me? Do not anticipate a need for these devices any longer. Perhaps they can serve you. Ooh, concentrated spray flesh. Wait, is that not as good as just normal spray flesh? Oh, it's better. That's not bad. I don't know why I'm bothering looking. I can't afford any of these. Let's see. Hey, would you be interested in buying any of these scriptures of the Great Devourer? There we go. Psychic focus. I mean, these things look cool, but yeah, I do not have enough money to be buying stuff right now. Well, tell you what, this is probably a good place to stop for now. We're just now starting
Maddie,
to understand.
I was going to ask about your golden-hued skin. You look so vibrant.
My skin... You're seeing me through your glow, Eratus.
Really? Why then with such a porcelain cast? You must be twice as beautiful as you appear.
Eritis? You know, never mind.
Aw, poor Eritis. Yeah, so what I was going to say is we've been getting to know some of the people around the Bloom, but I think we still have a lot more to learn here. But anyway, thanks for watching for now. Next time we'll explore more of the Bloom. See you soon. Take care.